All right, we are live. I'm so excited about this. I've been waiting for this one for months. I've been wanting to get Adrian and Nico back, do a little deep dive with them. And so, first, Adrian, Nico, thanks so much for being here. I'm so excited to be doing this with you. And we all know how busy these guys are. So, it's awesome to have you here.
Thank you very much for having us, Jen. Appreciate you having us on, staying up late for us. We're really
Yeah.
excited to do this as well.
Thank you very much, Jen. We appreciate it. And all the people joining us, the community that's going to be coming in and just watching this. Awesome. Let's get this going. And thanks again for having us.
Yeah, and I'll just reiterate, I would never do this at 10:30 p.m. my time for anybody else except for Adrian and Nico. But to me, this was so important to do that for me, it was worth it to stay up. So actually, I have quite a bit of energy, which normally at this time I don't. So let's see how we go. And I see FitLab. FitLab was on here. So Aaron, he was saying that he's glad to see that we're doing another video. We've got Ginny and Derek, which is awesome. So thanks everyone for showing up. And again, anyone who's watching the recording or if you're going to come on later and maybe catch this, we're just so excited that you're here. Oh, Dave's on too. He's watching us. All right, so why don't we get started? And I wanted to talk first a little bit about you guys and just a little bit about your journey, how you guys became, Adrian and Nico, the duo that all of us know and love so much. Obviously, I think you guys have such a major influence in our fitness community. And just like, I think you guys started the channel just over a year ago. Is that right?
Yeah, it was last summer. So just right in the thick of the quarantine, we started just putting a camera in front of our training, pretty much.
Which is incredible, right? So what we were just talking about earlier too is, so that's a year and they've been doing the live workouts with us for a year, but you guys have been doing it a lot longer. So why don't I throw it over to you guys? Yeah, tell us a little bit more about you.
Awesome, man. Go for it. Start us off.
So Adrian and myself have been training our whole lives through a bunch of different avenues. Adrian's a big soccer guy. He grew up training a ton of soccer growing up. He got to pretty high level. I did swimming, a lot of martial arts, and we've just been fitness enthusiasts our entire life, experimenting with our bodies through training, nutrition, fasting, all that kind of stuff. And, over the years, we've been accumulating a big group of people who've been kind of like following us and joining in on our workouts. And we've seen what a positive influence it's been in their lives. And we thought one day we'd throw a camera on us and try to see if we could do it in the YouTube world and share that with other people, right? And just spread a little bit of that positivity through fitness, which has always been such a positive influence in our own lives.
Absolutely.
I love that. Well, yeah,
that's what brings us here today.
Yeah, I love that. Well, that's what I think it is, right? It's like the addiction to feeling better, right?
That's so true.
It's like feeling better and also just challenging yourself, right? Because I find the more you get into it, and I find that even with my own journeys, my health journey has probably been, probably about 10 years. And I feel like the more I get into it, the more exciting it is and the more you feel better and then you want to do more of it. And then, if I look back to where I was 10 years ago and where I am now and the kind of, lifestyle I have, I would be like, wow, that was a pretty big difference.
Right. And that goes to like building on your base, right? Your base consistently moves up as you get your training improves, your diet improves, your overall health improves, and you just keep building on that base. And you look back at yourself and you're like, man, I don't even recognize myself 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Like I'm a completely different person, like physically different, everything's different. Mentally too, right? That's a huge aspect with physical training. Like you said, you get addicted to the good feeling, accomplishing those goals, and it affects you mentally. You become in a better mental space as well, right?
Absolutely. Well, I find one of the hard parts when you're kind of starting out or coming back in, or if you get injured, is trying to is those layers. So like sometimes you try to bite off too much than you can chew. And so I find, you'll find people who go way too hard, right? So they'll come to your workouts, they'll be like, nah, Adrian Nico can do, 20 sets. I can do 20 sets, but I've never worked out, but I'm going to do 20 sets. And then they're destroyed for the next 2 weeks so they can't come back. So, I know, especially with you guys have an amazing workouts. I even join you guys on Saturdays when I can, and I love it. I love the community that you guys have. So, how, you know, people are just starting out. I know a lot of your friends and family have even come to kind of join you in that world too. So like, what kind of advice would you give to someone who's kind of just starting out and maybe wants to work out with you guys, or wants to pick up a fitness program, or maybe just wants to start getting more, you know, healthy?
I guess I'll go first. Yeah. I think like what you just said there, how can you start off right away? I think the first thing, like personally, if you're going to train with us, the best thing you can do, like rule number one, and it's always been said in martial arts, is leave your ego at the door. You got to go in there without an ego, because if you go in there and try to, like you just said, try to keep up with, you know, Nico per se, who's been doing it his whole life, you're going to hurt yourself and you're going to be out injured for the next 3 months after, you know? So rule number one, I would say leave your ego at the door. And then I'll do one more point, and Nico will take over here. So I would say start extremely small at the very beginning. Don't like you said, like I can just hammer home at this. We have so many people that try to join us training, and what happens is they'll try to reduce 500 calories in their diet. They'll try to run 10 miles. They'll try to do 1,000 push-ups, and it's like, whoa, man, you're just starting out. Let's slow it down. Let's focus on one aspect of what you're going to do. So leave your ego at home and start slow. If you've done nothing, you're just getting off the couch and you have done nothing, just come and do 10 minutes and then go home. Because that 10 minutes is more than you've done in the last 4 months, you know? So that's what I always say to people, ego and start slow. And you can go off of that.
Well, yeah, like start slow. Listen to your body is a huge one, right? Like only you know what you can and can't do. Seeing what somebody else does and trying to do that's not good news for anybody, right? You are yourself. You can do what you can do, right? And start slow, set up these achievable goals. If you can do 10 push-ups next week, try for 11 or 12. Hammer these goals and build up on it, right? Another tip I would have is probably just don't compare yourself to other people, right? Like he said, check your ego at the door. If you go in there and you start trying to ego lift or challenge somebody else who's been doing it for a long time, you're just going to get injured. And then you're setting yourself back, right?
100%. Well, I think what people don't realize is, you know, for you guys, so if you guys have been, you know, doing this for 10 years, that's compounded also over 10 years, which means, you know, your joints, your ligaments, your tendons, they're used to the certain level of of what you guys are doing. Whereas, you know, again, if you're just getting off the couch and, you know, you haven't done a lot of exercise, like your joints, your ligaments, your tendons, like all your muscles are like not ready to go that intense. And so, you know, as you said, if they're trying to keep up with Nico, keep up with you, then they're gonna not feel so great after. And then you know, I find too some of the people that I work with, like I always say to them, like find your, like you don't need to go 100%, go like 70%, you know, like that's probably good enough to even start to just like, you know, because it's with the ego, I think we're used to like going full max all the time, you know, and then it's amazing what happens if you pull back a little bit, but it allows you to actually be more consistent and you actually enjoy the workouts a lot more because you're not like killing yourself or wanting to puke after.
We talked about this with a friend this morning. So we trained this morning with one of our friends and he just started going at it again. He's training hard right now. Call it a month. He's been at it consistent 5 days a week. He's training hard. And he started off by joining us on this journey by finding himself in the kitchen. So he's like, whoa, I need to figure out what I'm eating at home. And then he started figuring out his diet. And then he's like, now I got to start training. So he made a small goal in the kitchen, right? Cut out sugar, call it. Cut out refined sugar. So cut out the pop, cut out the juices. That was his first goal. Cut that out. And then the momentum built. All of a sudden he started training with us. And what you just said there. So we trained with him. We worked out with him for 45 minutes today. And for me and Nico, it wasn't that of an intense workout. And that's one thing I want to get across is like, sure, we train every single day, but today wasn't a crazy intense workout. Sure, we did a lot of reps and we had a good time. We got a good sweat on, but we didn't redline it. So it was super enjoyable. There's some workouts where you'll redline your body. It'll be so extremely hard. You don't even want to train the next day, right?
That's right.
Like, so we went 70% today, but I know I'll get some good food in me. I'll rest up tonight and I'll be ready to rock tomorrow morning for our live, right?
That's exactly it. And that's what's important, right? Is being able to maintain that consistency. Because I mean, I think I read somewhere that, you know, with like high intensity interval training. So if you're like going that high and you're going to like, you know, 80-90% of your heart rate, you're actually burning out your system. And it's good to do that once in a while. But if you're doing that 3 or 4 days a week, like you're actually just killing your system.
Of course you are. You're compounding your effort, right? It's your effort scale in a sense, right? You're going to blow out your nervous system, and then you're not going to be able to train. You're going to start resenting your workouts, and all of a sudden, boom, you stop training. And it's like, well, how did I fall off? It's because people go too hard, right?
Yes, that's exactly it.
And I think in training either, just in your lifestyle too. Like we've seen it time and time again. People train with us. They spend $300-400 on supplements. They got to buy every supplement that's going to give them the edge. They got to go cut 500 to 1,000 calories out of their diet. They got to train for an hour to 2 hours a day, and they last about a week at that, and they just burn themselves out. And I'm like, man, a full week of hard training is good, but a full year of like a little bit here and a little bit there, you're going to see a lot more results. Just cut out and this is the thing, we're talking about just building these little goals, and they could start in the kitchen. We were saying what's like a really small goal that everybody can do in the kitchen? Cut out sugar in your coffee or your tea, like something so super small like that, and build on that. And then after years of, being in control of your diet and having that dialed in, we were talking about it before we got live here. We're into intermittent fasting. That's really tough for a lot of people. For like majority of people, if you went out and you told them, hey, don't eat for 12 hours today, or don't eat for 16 hours.
They'll call you crazy.
There's no way I could do that. Skip breakfast? What? Like, how am I going to do that?
What do you mean?
You're nuts,
well, it's also really against what we've all learned growing up, like gotta have, 3 meals a day and then snacks in between. You got to eat all day. So,
the food pyramid.
Yeah.
Bread at the bottom.
Yeah,
right? That was the base of the food pyramid was bread. Right?
Yeah.
Right. So it goes against what we learned. And I think a lot of it's just rewiring all that kind of stuff, right? The traditional diet and that kind of stuff. And it seems like just insanity. Don't eat breakfast or skip dinner, whichever one you're doing. I know there's 2 different ways a lot of people do their intermittent fasting. Me and him are so busy in the mornings, we just skip breakfast. We eat a pretty good lunch at around 2 o'clock, and then we eat dinner. And that's like our window of eating right there. And then there's no more eating for the day. Right. And that's our intermittent fasting. But a regular person, like, how do you even get to that point? But this is years of building and dialing in this diet and getting in control. Right. So cut out sugar first out of your tea and your coffee, maybe cut out the snack in between breakfast and lunch, and then just build on that. Right.
That's
Small, achievable goals and build on it.
Well, because I think too, a lot of people think like, they're going to go from their normal diet, which, they're probably eating lots of sugar, eating lots of chips, going to restaurants, eating lots of whatever that's in their food, and lots of carbs, all the bread and stuff like that. And then they're like, you know what, I'm going to cut gluten out. I'm going to cut dairy out. I'm going to cut sugar out. I'm going to do intermittent fasting. You do this like major change, and then you feel like you're losing so much. And when you do that, it becomes impossible, right? But as you said, if you kind of start with, sugar in the coffee, you kind of get used to that. You feel good about that. And then maybe you're like, you know what, we eat, like pasta and stuff like that 4 days a week. Maybe we'll just do it 2 days a week. Again, like it's still like those are big changes still in your life that, if you do that over a year, that'll still be a major difference.
Totally. And it's the same thing with training. Just do 20 minutes a day to start off. Right? You don't got to hammer in the hour cardio, the hour weights 5 days a week. Like that'll kill you, And what you were saying earlier, like even your joints and your tendons, those need a lot of time to adapt to a new training program. Your muscles might be able to do it. Your lungs might be able to do it. But over time, you're just going to get some tendonitis, or you're going to get some strain in one of your ligaments. I've noticed it, me and him with our running, especially like we've done some pretty long distance running, and people try to jump into it and they can get the kilometers done, but it's the recovery. They're just demolished. Yeah. They're blowing out their knees. They've got shin splints. They've got hairline fractures in their legs.
Wow.
Right? In their ankles and their feet, because their body's not used to it, right? So they can complete the workout, but then, they learn the hard way. Yeah. So just small steps, right? Start where you are. You're not a marathoner to start. Start with your couple kilometers, right? Start with and it's the same thing with yoga, right? And stretching. And that's probably the most humbling thing, because how far you can bend and how far you can stretch till it really hurts, right?
Totally. No, I think all of it's true, right? I mean, and yoga, that's one that I can, relate to the most, but it's true. I mean, when you start with yoga, like most people can't even touch their toes, right?
Of course not.
But you would be surprised at how quickly, with some consistency, how fast that can change. Like, I had one girl who was training with me, and I think I think it was like 2 months in, all of a sudden she was like, she could barely touch her toes. Like I think she was coming to her knees. And I think 2 months of doing it a couple times a week and bam, she was touching her toes already. So but it's all about that consistency and constantly showing up.
Totally. That reminds me of this other guy that's been training with us for the last year. So the guy he was talking about is a friend of ours for 15 years. He's been in and out of training with us. Whenever he always calls it like he knows he can come back. It's his rock, but he leaves and he does his own thing for a while. He falls off and then he comes back. But this other guy that's been training with us has been training with us for a full year. And it's amazing. This guy was doing 8 push-ups on his knees. Okay. So 8 push-ups on his knees. Now he's hammering out like 600-700 push-ups in a session. On his feet, no problem. You should see how his body's changed. He couldn't even do one full pull-up, body weight pull-up. Yesterday he did like full body weight, probably 60, and then he did 40 with the bands after. Like,
that's incredible.
For a little bit of consistency over the course of a long period of time, what it will do to you, right?
And I would say the most important thing about that particular person is just not even like his physical, but his mental and his confidence that he has in himself. His family, his kids, his wife, they all got like, you're a different person right now. Like he's a different person. And it's just through that self-belief, that confidence. And it all started with just one little thing. And he took it and ran with it. And that's what we're here doing. We're talking about this. We're doing our live workouts. You just changed someone's life. She could touch her toes. You know what I mean? Like you should feel extremely proud about yourself like that. Because I know we feel proud about one of our buddies that did that because he just kept with it. He did his own thing, left his ego at the door, and now he's kind of got an ego on him, which he deserves. He kind of deserves that, though. You know what I mean? Like, ego. Yeah. Now he talks the talk because he can walk it. You know.
Totally. Well, there's a lot of confidence that you get, right? Between, if it's you're doing those push-ups, 8 of them on your knees, and then now you can do like 100 with like normal and probably in strict form. Like it's just, and I feel like all of that translates to your life too, right? Because you realize like, oh, I could actually achieve this like small goal, like even cutting out sugar. Like I could do that. I have some discipline and I could do this other thing. And wow, I feel really good. And then it just like feeds. And then you want to do more of those kinds of things, right? And it's pretty powerful how just by taking care of ourselves, we can feel, I don't know, you just feel so different.
You feel confident in anything that you do, whether it's business related, career related, finance related. You're okay to take risks because you feel confident in yourself. And this is what we were talking about almost every morning. It's this small little fitness ritual that we have in the morning, and it's changed our lives for the better. And anybody that I've seen adopt that ritual and that tradition of taking care of themselves through exercise and bettering their diet and all that, but exercise mainly. We always say, like, if you can get a hard workout done in the morning, what can't you get done through the rest of the day? You've already left it on the mat.
That's it.
What's the next goal? Like you already did a hard thing. Let's go to the next hard thing, right? So
totally. Yeah, no, and honestly, I feel the same way. So I've always been a morning workout person too. And that's what I always found is I found once I started, because like for me, it was, I had to figure out what time worked because I was trying to go after work. And that was just, it felt awful because I just constantly was feeling like I was failing myself because I'd be like, today's the day I'm going to go to the gym. And then you finish work, you're like, I'm exhausted. No, that's not happening. And so then I was like, okay, this is clearly not working. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm waking up at 5 a.m. because, that's what happens. And I remember starting to get into the routine and you would wake up and just knowing that I did that part, that I didn't have to stress about it later. It was like you guys said, then it was like everything else in the day was just that much easier. And I had so much energy coming into it. So it's just amazing how even like small changes like that can just have such a big, big impact on your attitude, on how you think about goals, how you believe in yourself. Like it's unreal. Yeah, Dave says here, he goes, I find that there's such a snowball effect. So, and actually so Dave's actually a really great example of this. So he, so I was telling you guys just before, so he's been doing a little bit longer than me. So he's been doing intermittent fasting now for about, I think 2 months. So Dave was weighing 200, he was about 200 pounds and he was feeling pretty uncomfortable in his skin. He just like, when we started dating like 8 years ago, he was at 170 pounds is how much he weighed. And so he was starting to feel like, man, like I'm, in my late 30s, I'm, maybe not feeling so great. And I don't want to be looking like I'm middle-aged. Like I still want to look and feel young and be able to do things. And so he started on this track with intermittent fasting, and he's been doing amazing. So he lost 30, he's now at 165 pounds.
Wow.
He feels amazing. He's got so much more energy. He just he actually has the energy to start working out. I mean, he's got a very laborious job, and it's just amazing to see even the changes in him. So before, I had a really hard time keeping us on diet because Dave loved pizza and mac and cheese, and I love those things too. And so you guys probably, you guys too. And so you guys know how it is. It's like if your partner is like, hey, let's get some mac and cheese, you're like, okay, yeah, let's get some mac and cheese. Hey, you want pizza tonight? Let's do it. And, now we're both doing this intermittent fasting thing. And it's great actually to have, that's the other thing I would say is see if you can find an accountability partner. Because I find it makes a really big difference when you have somebody, ideally you're their partner. And actually Derek and Ginny are a great example of this too, of having that partner that can kind of like keep you accountable and keep you eating healthy. Because for me, it's the food that's the hardest. So how do you guys handle the food piece? Because I mean, obviously you guys are doing intermittent fasting. How do you guys do cheat days? Like, how do you manage that?
So I always like to call it, we always try to eat healthy. We always try to intermittent fasting in a sense, but I'll give you an example. We were talking about it this morning. We're not particularly dialed in right now. Okay. So it's summertime. We're a little loose on our diet. We eat a little bit more. We drink a little bit more. But there's certain times when we'll get extremely dialed in. So we'll go call it a month where you're eating pizzas, you're eating pasta, you're doing what you want, drinking. But then, you'll kind of think about it and you'll be like, you know what? Now it's time to get real focused. So that's when you get real dialed in. When you're talking about your cheat days, you're eating clean 5-6 days a week, But yep. for us, and I'm sure I can speak for him as well, we're pretty loose in a sense until we're not, That's how we are anyways. But I like to say that I am very strict on my intermittent fasting. So personally, I feel the best on 16 and 8. So an 8-hour window for eating. I like that the best for myself. Mm-hmm. And I am just conscious of what I'm eating. Like the one thing I like to tell myself when I am, you get weak in the kitchen, right? And I always try to remind myself about, okay, if I start eating this kind of stuff, do I have control of myself or is that control in me? Because let's not kid ourselves. Food is so addictive, right? We get so much pleasure from food. Mm-hmm. But I like to think when I'm ramping up my training, am I training proper? Am I hitting my goals and that kind of stuff? What I'm eating, what am I consuming? Is that going to benefit me in my training and in my life, or is that going to hinder me? And that's where I make that conscious decision. So always, you got to be on top of it. You got to be thinking about it. It's exhausting. But when you don't even think about it, when you're unconscious about what you're eating, that's when you get sloppy. That's when all of a sudden you're drinking, you're eating, and all of a sudden, we all go there. We all get in those moments, right? I'm sure everyone always calls it the couch of doom. You get there and all of a sudden you wake up on the couch of doom and you're like, what am I doing here? Right?
How did I get here?
Goes on you.
Yeah. Totally. Well, I don't know if you guys have noticed this. So I don't know. I'm pretty excited about this intermittent fasting stuff because it's like super new for us and we've been having great results with it. But the interesting thing is I found, so I totally agree with everything you said about food controlling you, because I found I used to have really bad cravings. And honestly, I love food so much that I just would eat and I would eat and eat and eat. And it was like I never had until I was like stupidly full, like I didn't know when I was full. And I found actually with the intermittent fasting, I have that a lot faster, a lot, like I'm like, my body's like, no, you've had enough. I'm like, okay, we're good. So that's been really interesting for me. And another thing that I'd love to pick your brain about is, so we were like pizza addicts and, we would indulge in, sugary things here and there. And what we've noticed is, so when we started intermittent fasting, we were still trying to do our pizza Fridays. And what happened is, so the first week we did it, or I think it was the second week we did it, we ordered our pizzas and we couldn't even eat all the pizza. Like our bodies didn't like it anymore. And it didn't even taste as good anymore. We're both like, what is going on right now? Like, this is strange.
What's crazy that you say that is, so in all of our guts, we have got this living culture, this biome that's always working. And we always talk about this. Whatever you're eating is what you become addicted to. you get on salads for a little bit, and all of a sudden you're craving vegetables, clean protein. You start putting a couple fries and maybe a burger, and what are you going to be craving next? Like
True.
the next
A
meal
lot
you
of
want
fries, some oily stuff.
You're just saying your gut is like sitting there controlling your thoughts, and it's saying, hey, like this is what I want, right? And this is where we talked about control. You have to be able to kind of pull the reins back a little bit on that and say, hey, I'm in control here, not my gut, right? Like I'm going to listen to what I know is good for myself, right? Give me some chard on the barbecue. Yeah, man. After like some clean protein. We've been doing lots of fishing. We got a ton of fish. So we've been throwing some fish on the barbecue, and that's what we've been eating a lot of lately, and yeah, I'm loving it.
That's awesome. Is that fish that you guys are catching yourself?
Yeah.
Nice.
So lots of halibut and some salmon. That's what's beautiful about being out here in BC on the West Coast. We've got the organic grocery store out in the ocean there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's amazing. You're really trying to get us to move out there.
Come for one more visit. It's not hard. You come for a visit, and you'll be packing a U-Haul in no time.
I think we might be. Like I said, last time we made it out to Vancouver, we were literally planning like, okay, when do we think we could realistically move? So I think at some point we'll end up out west, but the question is more like when. So because we have so much family and stuff. But anyway,
Jen, can I ask you what kind of intermittent fasting do you do? Like, what is your usual schedule with it?
Yes, so I eat 12 to 8, and then I fast from 8 to 12, basically. So I think I do that's what you do, right, Adrian?
More or less, yeah. I'm like right now. Before this, I actually started much earlier today because I had my last meal when we were working, and then I'll eat tomorrow morning. So I'm not like super strict on like a 12 noon to 8 p.m. But I just have a timer on my phone, and I'll do that, and it seems to work really well for me. So if anyone's out there who's like trying to start, get their diet on track, like it seems like all of us are pretty, like we've all tried it out, we've all
we've been doing it for about 5 or 6 years now. Like it's been quite a while of us doing it. Like we're so busy in the morning. Skipping breakfast is so easy for me, and like I won't eat lunch till about 2 o'clock. Last thing I'll eat is about like maybe 7 or 8 o'clock at night, and then I don't eat for the rest of the time. So
it's true. Personally, I like it. It's just, I don't know. It just really works out for my schedule. And the way it makes me feel, like almost like that hunger in a sense, like, because you do get hungry after a certain workout, say, and you get hungry, but you almost feel like you're looking forward to it in a sense. You're looking forward to breaking your fast. And it almost makes you dialed in more. It gets that little look in your eye, and it's like, hey, like I'm in control right now. I know what I'm going to do. I'm in control of my world, and I got this, And those little breaking up that, like I would tell anyone, at the beginning, start slow. Don't do what we're doing right away, but try to work your way up to that, because it will change your life, And everyone has their own opinions on it, but all we can speak of is what works for us. And it seems like it's worked for you and Dave extremely well. Me and him stay, pretty tight year round, and it's very good for us,
And that's why I find with intermittent fasting, I can be a little lenient with my diet because I just don't eat as much, right?
It's true.
Breakfast or lunch. So if I do want to kind of like have carbs for dinner,
you don't have to feel bad about it.
Yeah, I'm not going to blow my daily calories out of the water, right? And I'm just reading what FitLab is saying here. He's like, the things he's opposed to is any diet that's very restrictive or that cuts out entire food groups or entire macronutrient. And that's the thing. I feel like if you're on these really strict diets, you're cutting that out. With intermittent fasting, the menu's wide open. Just don't eat as much and eat in a certain time, right? And that's what works for me personally. And going back to what he said, feeling dialed in and a little bit more sharp when you're hungry, I think that plays into our biology. Our ancestors for, call it 300,000 years, they didn't have a fridge in their house that they could eat at any time, right? They had to go out and earn that food, and they had to be hungry, sharp, sharp between the ears, and then get that food for themselves. So I think that's what intermittent fasting kind of copies, is like a natural way of eating for our ancestors, for the majority of, the anatomically modern human being, right?
Well, yeah, because I mean, for hundreds of years before we've had this surplus now of food and can eat whenever we want, like you said, we would have to actually go and, work for our food a little bit. And typically you would go through periods where you could eat and then couldn't eat. And so it wasn't always centered so much around food like it is now. And honestly, like you guys said, Adrian, about feeling like you've got more control. So I found what's really helped me on the intermittent fasting is I don't I don't do the late night snacking anymore because I'm like, oh, it's
Me
8.
too.
I've gone through my window. I'm like, I guess I can't eat it anymore. I'm like, gotta wait till tomorrow. And then normally tomorrow comes and you start eating healthy again, right? So
But isn't that one of the best aspects of intermittent fasting in a sense? Because you're making those conscious decisions right there. So I believe someone in the comments wrote a snowball effect right there. You're like, you're saying no. So you're resisting. That resistance is extremely powerful.
It's discipline with
it
your diet,
is.
discipline with yourself, discipline to say no, right? And it's
That's
snowball.
right.
And shout out to Sarge. What's up, my man?
Yeah, Sarge. He goes, what's up, party people?
Yes, sir. Good to see you, Sarge. Thanks for dropping by.
Yeah, thanks to everyone dropping by. Derek and Jeannie, great to see you guys. Ronan, good to see you. Everyone else who's in here, thanks for stopping by. And hopefully you're just, I personally feel like, Jen, all these people that are in here, we're like fuel to people, you know, we keep
That's right.
people going, right? And just talking about this, like I'm fired up right now. Like I love talking about this kind of stuff, you know?
Me too. Well, it's just fun, right? Because it's, you know, it's when you realize, one, how much it's changed your own life, and then two, that we can share that with each other and be able to talk about it and talk about our own journeys and be open about our struggles. It's just, you really get that community vibe, right? So it's just awesome. Yeah, that's one thing that I absolutely love about this community is I feel like, you know, all of us, we all follow each other. So it's kind of fun to, I don't know, I think what the most amazing thing for me actually with YouTube is just how in little ways we've all been able to inspire each other, you know, and just it's really cool to like have that circular effect because like I don't think that I actually don't know that Dave and I would have continued this long if it wasn't for everybody that's here. Because like even on the bad days, or when you know, like YouTube is hard. And I find even on those days where you're like, oh, I just can't, it's like, you know, I'd see you guys pop up for like a live and it's like, okay, no, I can do this. Like, I'm just going to get up. Like, actually, I remember a couple times I was literally in bed and then your live started and I was like, nope, I'm going to do this. And I like jumped quickly through clothes on.
So
I'm like,
cool,
okay.
man.
Yeah.
That honestly makes every live I've ever done worth it.
Yeah.
What you just said right there, like that's so awesome.
Well, because what if you normally says this? You guys are like, if you guys are in bed, like get up and let's go, you know? And I'm like, yeah, you know what? You're right. I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna go. So
that's so cool.
We were talking to one of our buddies about that too. Like we have a lot of open Discord with our friends, right? We talk about a lot of things because it's always just trying to build each other up. And you know, we have a saying that's like winners don't shit on other people, right? Like we consider ourselves like we're high achievers in a sense, right? And we don't bring people down because it's just like I'm not looking at bringing people down, but a lot of our friends like Adrian, Nico, you're so motivating. Like even you said that earlier. You guys, you know, you have a community.
Yeah.
You guys, but on the flip side, we have to be accountable for the other people as well. Like what you just said there, if it wasn't for everybody, right? So it's just, it all intertwines, right? I personally feel that anyways. Like I know that people are expecting a certain level out of me. So it's like, well, you better get going, buddy. You
better
know?
show up. Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's what's amazing, right? That's what I think is so cool about the community and having that accountability is because like, and that's what I've actually found too with this whole community is it does keep me accountable. Cause I'm like, if I'm going to film myself doing a workout or I'm going to film myself doing yoga, then like, I better be doing this regularly so that, you know, it's not like this one time I did the workout. So it's like, you know, you're constantly doing it. And so it's like, I have to show up because I want to, you know, give good content for everybody else. So in turn, it's like the flywheel, right? The flywheel just starts spinning in all those different aspects and just keeps you motivated. So it's pretty unreal.
Absolutely.
So Augie, so speaking of one of our other YouTubers, so Augie from Augie Silver Fitness did have a question for you guys on how do you plan your workouts and how far in advance do you plan them?
Oh, to be honest, like we've been training so much, so we've got such a repertoire of exercises and workouts that we do. We just kind of think of a theme, like if it's going to be a burpee session or if it's going to be like a lower body or a core session, and then we just pick a bunch of exercises that we think would complement that session. We don't give it, like we used to give it a lot of thought, but because we've done it for so long now, like we'll just show up, even when we're not training on the live streams, we'll just show up in the garage and just say, hey, what are we going to do? My back's kind of sore, my chest is a little bit sore, let's work on legs. And then we have an idea of like what exercises to do. And, you know, anybody who's exercising, maybe if you haven't, maybe this is a pretty good, useful bit of information. When you're thinking of an exercise routine, you're going to pick a muscle group and then you're going to rest for a little bit. You're going to give that a little bit of rest and do maybe an opposing muscle group or a totally different muscle group for your next set. And then you'll be able to recharge, rest, and then be able to tackle your reps with close to maximum efficiency, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what you're aiming for with your sessions. So with us, it's just kind of on the fly. Hey, you want to do burpees? Yeah, okay. Let's think of something right now and throw it out there and just think of your theme and go for it, you know?
So like kind of going on that as well. Like, so for like Augie, in a sense, our live workouts, we do a lot of body weight workouts there, but that doesn't mean we don't lift weights. Like on Wednesdays recently, we started doing a lot of different weight workouts. And we also are like incorporating some CrossFit workouts and that kind of stuff. And just kind of easing back into some weights. But for our live sessions on Saturdays, not everybody has weights at home. Right. Mm-hmm. And so that's the thing. Not everyone has the equipment that you need. Like Nico's got a full home setup gym. Right. So we have everything we need, but we don't even bring that out on our live Saturdays because I want Derek, I want Jeannie. I don't know if they have all that equipment. I want you. I don't know if you have all that in your condo. Right.
Totally.
So, and you can get a really good workout with your body anyway. You don't need equipment.
You can.
Exactly. You know, gravity is the best. So we like to throw down those workouts and like our 30-minute sessions, man. Some of them, like I'm at round 20 and I'm like, holy cow, man, I better make it to round 10. I got 10 more rounds because these guys are watching right now, right? Like,
yeah.
I just say I got a really good poker face. I couldn't even imagine what people are feeling like at home.
You're like, why did we make this one so hard?
Sometimes, man.
Sometimes. Like, yeah, we gotta just bring the spice down a little bit. Like we're kind of trying to make this for everybody. So most of our workouts, especially as of like probably the last 10 or 15 live streams, we've been making it like a solid intermediate. We don't want to make it advanced. We do an advanced workout every Monday. That's the one we're talking about, redlining. We might be doing too much if you do those too often. So that's Monday for us. Sunday, we do like a really nice long trail run out in the forest out here. And then, Saturdays is just a nice intermediate, fun for the whole family. And then you can design it too. Like you can always do lower reps, right? Yep. So you don't have to do the full 10 reps that we do or the 15 or 20. Do 5. Do 2, but stick with us, right? Go through each round with us. And
well, what I find is, it's a lot of it's that consistency that you guys are talking about is just showing up and then figuring out, sure, like if your body's not having a great day, then you just modify. And like, I was telling you guys earlier with my wrist, for everybody else, I've been having some wrist issues lately. I have a cyst on my wrist. That rhymed. Didn't mean for that to rhyme. But I have this cyst and I think I've had it for 2 months now. And so some days it's so inflamed that I can't do a whole lot on it. And a couple of the workouts that I did with you guys, it was really irritated. And so I just did something either slightly different, or I just took push-ups and stuff on my knees, or I, changed it. So I was using my fist on the floor instead of the hand.
And that's a good alternative, is to do it on your fists. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I just share that with everybody because, I find just going to the lives with you guys and having the energy of the group, having the energy of the comments, having the energy of you guys. And then if you're doing something slightly different, or if you have to skip through every other round because, you're out of breath and it's too much, like just keep showing up, keep trying. And just, as the guy said earlier, like listen to your body because, even if you get through the whole workout, but you actually only did like 30% of it, if that was 30% more than you would normally do, then you kicked ass.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Like we talk about that all the time. Doing a little bit is way better than not showing up at all. When we plan these workouts on Saturdays, like we're always thinking about like a Derek, or we're thinking about Paul, Can't Shake Me, because I know that guy trains a lot. So not every session of his is going to be red line, right? So I hope that when we're doing these workouts, and I know people go back and do them as well, and I hope that if we are going too fast, we are going too quick, it's because, we are pretty high level. Just slow it down. You go at your own pace, but stay with us for that whole half an hour. Because at the end of the day, it might be the best half an hour of your day because you are in full control of that half an hour or hour, whatever it is. And there's no bullshit. You're just focusing on yourself. Like we owe it to ourselves, man. Invest in yourself like you'll invest in something else. Like, why wouldn't you look after yourself?
Invest in your body. There's no spare tire here. You just got one. You got one.
There's no better investment,
right?
Yeah, well, there's no better investment than investing in yourself, right? Because you invest in yourself, and then the rest kind of starts flowing. I find. So
I'm just reading what Derek's saying here. He said he has to admit that when we do the bicycle crunches, he does squats instead because he doesn't like getting on his back. And that's really good. Like you modify the workout to suit you, right? This is for you. This is not to go out and do what we do. You do what you want to do, what you can do, and
That's it.
you know, invest in yourself, be a little bit better version of yourself the next time. And I love what you said there. If you get 30% and the alternative is doing 0, 30 is amazing, right? Like that's an amazing thing to get out there and do.
Exactly. And
that's what prepping would start.
I was going to say, Derek, one thing for you. So if you want to do the bicycles, but you don't want to go on the back, you can actually do standing bicycles. So just standing and then just bringing the knees to the chest.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to still get a bit of crunch, but you don't want to get down, that would be another option for you.
We'll show some of those tomorrow morning. That's a great idea.
And what I'm saying here, he definitely motivated him. So he was Aaron, I know you got injured there. You had an issue. I think it was with your SI or something, right? Or it was, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And you said it was almost impossible to get out of bed, but I think maybe we should all get together, especially with Aaron, maybe in the future, and have a talk on recovering your injuries. Like you said, you have the cyst in your wrist. You know, injuries are just par for the course with training with your body. You're using your body. Something's going to give eventually, right? And it's coming back from it, because that can't just stop you cold turkey in your fitness.
It can't. And you have to learn how to modify, right? But yeah, we should definitely. I'll reach you guys out after. I'll reach out to you guys after we can plan one on that. That's a really good topic.
Right? Talk about how to get through your injuries. We've both been injured. Like I've broken my ankle real bad one time, and I love running, so that really hurt me. But you come back, right? And you modify. And I've seen people get injured, and now, you know, I don't want to use the word like victim. They're kind of a victim of that injury, and they don't want to like progress any further because they're hurt, and they use that as the crutch, as like a, I don't want to say like an excuse, but it's kind of like, it's a reason why they can't, I can't train. And then it's like your diet goes out the window, and it's like, well, your diet, like your leg hurts, so you got to eat like crap too. Like I have trouble following the logic behind it, but it's a spiral. It's a snowball effect. It works both ways.
Totally.
You know, the injury could be the snowball effect starting to go the bad way, right? So you got to learn how to be in control, be disciplined, and say, you know what, I'm injured, but I'm not dead. You know,
that's right.
Right.
Well,
there's
also,
other things I can do, right?
And also, like if you are injured and then you're not taking care of yourself, your injury will just continue and prolong. Whereas, like if you're continuing to take care of yourself during that time, you'll recover so much faster. And I mean, I was telling you guys, so not only do I have my wrist issue, but I've got a knee issue right now. So, you know, squats are a little bit challenging for me at the moment. Anything that puts like in yoga, anything that I have direct like too much bend in my knee is a little bit irritating. I can't do my handstands. I can't do any arm balances, which for me kills me a little bit. But man, there's so many other things that you can do. Like you can work out without putting your hands on the floor at all.
For sure.
You know, so it's just, you have to just get really creative and just change your mindset about what it is that you can do. And so, you know, yeah.
And you were saying you've been working on your injuries too, because I think earlier, maybe before the live stream, you said you were going to a physiotherapist for your knee. Right? So it's about thinking, like, you can't say I'm injured and then do nothing about it and then expect it to go away, right? You need to work through your injury. For me, a big thing is anytime I injure myself, whether I see a physiotherapist or whatever, I'll stretch it in the shower. That's a time when I specifically have to get warm. The body's hot with the hot shower. Maybe it's a pulled hamstring, whatever it is. And I just stretch it out. I focus on it. I give it that energy to heal and come back, right?
Yeah.
You know, we were talking about this in the last live stream. Some people, like, you know, you have a flat tire on your car. I don't know, like you've got an ACL problem or whatever, and you're not addressing it. It's just there. I can't train. You know, my knee's up. I got a bum knee, so I don't train. And it's like you have a flat tire, but you don't change it. Would you just keep driving down the road with a flat tire? Oh, it's wrecking the rim. Oh, now it's like my axle's getting all messed up. Like, it's just like, no, you're gonna stop. You're gonna change the spare tire, and then you're gonna you're gonna go.
I love that. I love that. That's such a good analogy.
Like a repair on your car. Your body's like your car. You hurt your knee, put 10, 15, 20 minutes a couple times a day into it and come back from it, come back stronger, and then, you know, carry on. Don't use that as the reason why you're done. Like, your life's not over. Right?
Exactly. I love that. And I just noticed we got Jay Caesar in the house now. So he's just love everyone that's in. So hey.
Love to you too, man. Thank you for dropping by. And I'm looking at what FitLab's saying here. The mental part while being injured was the worst part. And yes, that is 100% true. When I did my ankle, it's you get into a depression. You know, you can't do the thing you love to do. You think you're getting, every day we're working and we're getting farther ahead with what we're doing with our training, or we'd like to think so at least. Maybe you're training too hard and you're not, but, and then not being able to train, you feel like you're going backwards, right?
Yeah. Well, it is hard, but you know what's funny is, so I was telling you guys with this cyst, I'm really not doing a lot of handstand training right now because it's just it really does irritate it. I wouldn't say haven't done them in 2 months. I've been bad sometimes, and I do it because I just love them. But what I found is, even though I'm not training as much, it's not actually because I'm still training in other areas. My handstand hasn't decreased. Like, it's like I still am progressing very, very slowly, even though I'm not practicing every day. And again, it's because I'm still, doing other things that will, what's the word I'm looking for?
Complement handstand, maybe, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it complements the training. So when I do it, I'm still, getting, I may not be doing it the way that I would normally do it, but it's not necessarily, it's not holding me back, I guess, or it is holding me back, but it's not, I'm not going back. Like, I didn't go back 10 steps.
Do you know what I mean? For sure. And you're also focusing on your diet a lot more, and you can tell, right? Like, you're going to get through your injuries. And once you get through those injuries, you're going to be so much further ahead as well. Sure, you might be injured in one aspect, but you're learning other aspects. You're working on your mental game. You're doing other things, and good for you. That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
And you look amazing. You look really fit. You look like you're dialed in, and you're not letting any injuries hold you back. So.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, it's all this community, I have to say. And I mean, we were talking about this before. It's really been the intermittent fasting. That's been the thing that's really dialed me in. I did it only honestly because I wanted to support Dave. and I started doing it, and I can't believe how much better I feel since we've done it. So yeah.
Well, look at that positive change in your life, right? So that's awesome.
Yeah. One of the things that I wanted to bring up actually was, so Sarge actually had a question about burpees a little bit back. So it was, why do we punch or slap the abs?
Go for it. You know what? So with the burpees, it's a discipline, right? So I know for me, everybody has their own reason for it, but for me, it primes myself. So a lot of the time when you see us doing burpees, like it hurts, man. I don't want to go down there and push my body back up like that. So I got to kind of like mentally psych myself up and just get that, like, I prime myself, I get ready for the pain, and then I commit to the movement, right? So, and then the other thing too is it just gets you flowing and vibing with your workout. It's almost like a dance, right? Like, ever since we got into burpees a year ago, it almost reminds me of running. You get into this trance. You're breathing heavy, your blood's pumping, you're in this cardio trance, very similar to a lot of people do.
It's like a moving meditation.
Exactly.
It is.
That's
exactly
really what it is. And it's just part of the meditation. Prime, down, up, right? And it's just that meditative state.
And on top of that, it's your breathing as well, right? Like, I know you've talked about breathing a lot in some of your past live streams, but breathing while you're training, breathing while you're running, it's one of the most important aspects. Yoga, like, your breath is one of the most important things. So when you're exhaling, you're getting yourself ready to go down and prepare yourself. So that's what it's all about. And like, when we do our live sessions, any workout, really control your workout. If you notice in the live workouts, Nico and I, one of us is always counting something. When you apply a count to your workout or anything, it makes it so you're in control of that workout. You're not just going through the motions. You're not allowing yourself to drift off and get injured, in a sense. Like, you're not allowing your body to get sloppy. You're fully
like, you're like very present in the moment, right?
Yes. And that's what it's all about, right?
Own your workout.
So we always talk about that. Like, when you're doing an ab strike, commit to your ab strike, commit to it, commit to your hand placement, commit to your, you want to go yoga, commit to your pose, commit to your stride of your running. When you're focusing and when you're on your breath, that's when you get in those moments and you get in that state, right? And all of a sudden you have that like kinesthetic awareness, in a sense, and it's just all of a sudden you're flowing. And that is honestly what we're searching for. When you can get in that vibe, it is like the most pure thing that you can find as an athlete. It is the coolest thing.
Flow state, right?
Flow state. It's the coolest thing, and I wish everyone can reach that in their training.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. And I also find too, the flow state is when you can find it, it is an amazing feeling. And I think like just in what you're talking about too, it's that like mind body connection. So it's, you know, not just like aimlessly, you know, pumping the weights, like, because that's not going to do anything for you. Maybe a bit of cardio because you're moving the body, but it's like that mind body, like what I find, and this is what I find really interesting about even just body weight, like you don't need, it's nice to have extra weights to be able to challenge yourself or whatever, but like the amount of resistance you can actually create just even in your own arm or in your own legs, just by like focusing on it and mentally thinking about it and adding that element of control, and you can make it so much harder. It just shows you how just by having that better mind body connection, you just do have a way better workout with it.
Absolutely. And that's where the ab strike and the counting comes in too, right?
Cool. That's really interesting. I never knew that about. I actually always wondered that question too, why you hit the abs. So I don't know if this is a serious question or not, but we'll throw it up. So Mick wants to know, how do you get rid of a beer belly without giving up beer?
Well, we like, I'm not gonna lie, we like to drink once in a while, we do, but we've changed our different drinking, right? So like I don't know if you there's nowadays there's like a plethora of just different types of drink out there. So instead of just beer, mix in some different drinks that are just like neutrals in a sense. There's not very much sugar in there and they're very low calorie, but they'll do the trick for you, right? But I know a good beer is a good beer.
Yeah.
You can't pass up that, you know, and I get that, right? And it's really hard to outrun a bad diet, but you just got to stay, if you're going to be drinking one night, you better get up the next morning and go for your run. We always talk about that. If we're going to drink and we're going to party one night, you have a planned workout, you show up to your workout, you hold yourself accountable, because then you're not playing the sad story. You want to have fun. You want to go party, you want to eat, you want to drink, but you better do your work as well, because you don't earn it then, right?
It's true. That's so true.
Don't let your drinking or your, like, as soon as that stops you from training, then who's really in control here, right?
I was just going to say that it ends up being a bit of a control thing.
Totally.
One sec, I just realized my computer just said it's low battery. I just need to grab my charger. I should have planned that ahead.
No worries.
It's funny.
But yeah, it's funny though. Like we're firm believers, and you got to have a balance of it all until it's time to, like, unless you're going to a competition or you're trying to like reach a certain goal, like a real set of goal, like a weight goal or a timed goal. You can be a little loose in your training, but when it's time to get real dialed in, that's when you go hard. That's when you're counting all your calories. That's when you're counting every single step, your miles. Doing that every single day, you're going to burn yourself out.
It's unsustainable.
It is. It's super.
But it's good to dial in once in a while. You know, it's good to show up to a race, like, you know, put yourself into a race or put yourself into a competition, see what you can do, test yourself, challenge yourself, set these goals and say, hey, like, how do I stack up? Tighten up, get really disciplined for a short period of time, but keep your training consistent all year long.
Yes.
Don't try to be that super intense. You can't. Nobody can do that, right? Like,
no. And I think if you have such a strict attitude about that and you don't allow yourself to cheat sometimes and live normal, then it's hard to sustain it, right? Because and then you just drop off because you're like, oh well, like if I can't do this perfectly, then I'm just not going to bother at all. Which is, you know, if you're eating, I really like this one. It's like if you eat well 5 days a week and you cheat on 2. Like a 5 out of 7 ratio is still pretty freaking awesome, right?
Yeah,
so like,
it's a big win. You're winning 5 out of 7 days. Good for you. You should be proud of yourself. But like you said, and I don't want to drop anybody's name here, but we have a friend. He either wants to go 100% or 0. There's no in between.
Yeah.
Like, just do 10%.
Yep.
You know. Yeah.
Yep. I know there's some people like that, but you know what? I feel like if it works for them, then by all means, you know, do it. But I just find, I don't know, over the years, if I've tried to be too strict with certain things, it just like, it starts like the whole mental thing comes into it, because then you feel like you're giving too much stuff up. And like, that's what you want to avoid, because again, if you like, it's also life, right? Like we're here to have fun. And of course you want to feel good and you want to, you know, be at optimal performance and be able to do things, but and like, you know, live long and healthy, but like really understanding your why behind it, because you can still live an optimal life and like worry about your health and then still have a beer once a week, you know? Cool. So let's see. I'm just gonna have a quick thing of the comments. I know we said we were gonna do 30. We're almost at the hour mark again. I could
know,
honestly,
so
I could
quick.
talk to you guys for
You're having
hours.
fun, right? You're having fun talking about
I
something we're
know.
all passionate about, right?
That's it.
It's so easy. I could talk about this for hours. You could propose questions to us and we could just go off, right? So
That's totally it. So we'll probably try to wrap it up soon. So if anybody has any other questions, just post them in the chat and we'll try and answer them. Oh yeah, Derek was saying that he's had some beer in his fridge. FitLab Aaron said he's had beer in his fridge for years. What did Derek say?
Send them this way. Don't worry. We'll put it to good use.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Dave said that we have alcohol here. That's just for when our friends are over. So when we were younger, we used to have a lot of parties, and so our friends would bring over like the hard alcohol. So we've got this one cupboard that's like full of hard alcohol, but Dave and I don't drink hard alcohol. So just sitting there waiting for people to drink it.
It's there for the next quarantine.
Yeah, exactly. And then Derek says he's only up for us right now. So thanks so much, Derek, for staying up. I know it's really late. So thanks for being here. This has been awesome. The chat's been really good. I'm just trying to go through to see if I missed anything. And I think that's really it. So I'll maybe just throw it over to you guys, Adrian, Nico. Any last words? Anything, if you wanted to leave everybody with like one or two things, what would it be?
For me personally, I think I've been talking about this a lot lately. Kind of like the four pillars of like success in a sense, kind of like in my mind, where you're working on, say you work on your mental, your spiritual, your physical, and your financial. We all of us want a lot of goals. And if you can kind of work on each of those a little bit every single day, I think you're winning, man. I think you're truly winning. You gotta think positive. You gotta, put yourself out there and kind of spread the love. Mm-hmm. You gotta work on your bank account, because at the end of the day, we need to keep that going. And physical, start slow, train, and at the end of the day, love yourself and just continue doing what you're doing, as long as you're and change people's lives. Like I know you are, I hope we are. I know, and it's just
you are.
4 pillars, right? I always think about that. How about you?
Well, if I can leave off with anybody who's just starting to train, just take action. That's it. Take action. Do something small today, right now, this minute. Stretch tonight. Drink some water, whatever it is. Take action, and it will snowball. And like you said, love yourself. It's tough to not love yourself when you're achieving small goals and you start working towards something like being fit. If you're super fit, it's kind of tough. You're like, I'm in good shape. Like I got one thing going for me, right?
Exactly.
So it's all those little incremental changes, but just take action immediately. If you feel out of control, your life's spiraling, you're drinking, you're eating bad food, you're totally out of control, try one small thing and take control of it. Maybe it's 10 minutes of stretching in the evening. It'll change your life. If it's a 10-minute workout, if it's Saturday live streams with Adrian Nico tomorrow, 7:30 PST or 7:45 PST, pardon me. Just something small. So take action. Most important thing you can do. Thank you for having us on, Jen.
I love that. Yeah, thanks so much for being here and for everybody. So 7:45 a.m. PST. If you're in my time zone, that's 10:45. So let's show up for them tomorrow. Let's be there and let's do it.
I want to say thank you very much for everybody coming. And Jen, thank you so much just for being you. Like you're awesome. We really appreciate you. And tomorrow's workout will be dedicated to you. And Dave, everybody else, thanks so much for just the positivity. And let's keep this going, right? Like everyone's going through whatever they're going through in their life, but we can always go back to our training and then just keep on going with that, right? So Derek, we'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Let's have a good night and we'll see you guys then.
Yeah, let's do it. And thanks again, everyone, for showing up. Thanks, Adrian and Nico, for being really here. And we're going to do this again. I will reach out. Yeah, cool.
Awesome.
All right, so we'll end it here. Thanks, everyone, and see you guys tomorrow. Okay.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.